What's up, y'all? So I just got back from vacation. I left for like 7 days, and my main concern when I was gone is how on earth am I gonna keep my garden watered so that everything doesn't dry out or just go crispy under this super hot Texas sun that we have. And so I was reading the comments on my last video where I showed kind of like the update of my garden, all of the progress, and you know, some fruiting and just everything that's been going on since I first planted in April. Well, one of y'all in the comments got on to me and y'all are like, you should really consider setting up a drip irrigation system. I was like, how can I take this even further? Because I don't want a complicated setup. I don't want something that I have to even think about. So what can I do? I went on Amazon and I noticed they had a lot of solar drip irrigation systems. So that's what I ended up using. And I used the AnseTo solar powered drip irrigation system. It was pretty easy to install. It was good quality and it worked. So obviously, you know, as a new gardener myself, I want to share that with y'all because I was actually pretty impressed. This is my setup. I got this rain barrel on Amazon. It cost me about $150. And that sounds really expensive, I know, but when I got it, I was actually really impressed by the quality, so I have zero regrets about that $150. It was super worth it. And the solar drip irrigation system, which I'll tell y'all everything that comes with that, this cost me $90. This complete set comes with one solar panel, one system controller, one main tube that's really thick that brings water from your water barrel or whatever container you have into the controller. On the end, it has a water filter, so if anything gets into your water, it's not going to suck that up. You also get this pre-installed water level sensor that goes from the controller all the way to your rain barrel, and then I just drop that in and it senses the water level, and this is the skinny tube here. That's that connection. So you also get like 30 meters of tubing that goes from the outlet on your controller all the way to your garden beds. So then you also get 30 of these water drippers, 30 of these tube connectors, this little anti-siphon mechanism so that the water doesn't backflow back into your rain barrel. What I didn't use in the kit was these really big connectors for splitting off this little main pipe here. Like if you want to connect water barrels to each other, you can use this to split off the main pipe. That's why this is so chunky and matches this size here because it's meant to connect to this tubing. But I didn't need that, so I didn't use it. The other thing I didn't use was this pack of screws that it came with if you want to like mount this system controller here. I didn't find that necessary, and I feel like my house isn't even really close enough to my garden beds to do that, so I didn't use that part. Now, the solar panel was already set up and hooked to the controller, so I didn't have to worry about this, but following the system, so as you can see, my skinny out tube goes from the controller and into my garden bed. So let me come over this way and show y'all how I got it set up. So basically, like I said before, this thing comes with 30 drippers. And so I pretty much have them strategically placed. My green bean plants, I pretty much have these in clusters. So if I have two plants close to each other, I've got one dripper so that they can share, as you can see here. And then my cornhills, where I have 3 to a section, I have one dripper per those. So in this bed, that's pretty much how everything is set up. So I'm gonna take this apart and show y'all exactly how I did it. This tube was all together, which meant that I had to cut this in order to install the T connector. So once I had my tube and I cut it, all I did was I took this little piece here, the T connector, and I put one part of the tube in one end, and then I took the other cut part of the tube and I stuck it in here, and then I had cut off right here another little piece of tube, and so I put that on the end, and then I took my dripper and I stuck that in the bottom. And then I took the dripper and I just stuck that in the hole right next to the root zone of my plant. It was pretty much just that simple. As you can see, we have dripping, so that's all good. This was my main concern. Like, I felt like if I set this up and the drippers didn't actually work, I was gonna be so hot. So I actually took a long time with this system, and I made sure that I really had this where I wanted it positioned, because y'all, it took so long to set up all of these drippers, and I was not about to go through and like disconnect all this tubing. So I am pretty happy with the fact that this thing works. So like I said before, this is 30 meters of tubing, so it's dang near impossible to run out, which that's one thing that I love about this system. They give you plenty of materials. Like, you will not run out unless you just have like the biggest beds on earth. You won't be running out anytime soon. Okay, and then the main thing I wanted to show y'all is that this pump is powerful. So this little line that I have running where the water is kind of dipping down through the tube and then it has to kind of go back uphill, no problem at all, y'all. No problem. They are dripping, so this thing is capable of going a little bit uphill, so it's got a pump and it's gonna do it. I currently have this set for 20 minutes of watering every 2 days, but you can definitely change this. So if you want to, like, let's say you want to do 30 minutes of watering. Is that 30? Okay, yeah. So you can do that and it'll adjust. And this is for the actual schedule. Right here that says interval time. So if you want to do something different, I currently have it set for 2 days. So you can set it for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, like literally whatever you want to do. This pretty much has it. And it also has hours too. The sun is just barely popping through, and as you can see, we're powered up, so it's good to go. All in all, I would definitely recommend the AnseTo solar powered drip irrigation from Amazon. I mean, it does what it says it's gonna do. You get a ton of materials. Like I said before, 30 meters of this tubing that actually goes in your garden bed, 5 meters of main line for bringing water out of the barrel and into your garden bed, 30 drip emitters, 30 connectors. Like, you will pretty much want for nothing when you get this system. So that's what I love about it. I also really like the quality of the tubing. It's really dense and thick. Even the skinny wiring is very durable. It has flexibility, there's give, but it's not flimsy, which I really appreciate. I feel like unless some animal was just like attracted to this tubing and decided it wanted to eat it up, that's pretty much the only way it would get damaged. But outside of that, like, it's extremely durable. The other thing I like is how set it and forget it this is. So with the controller system, as y'all saw, I can do a variety of watering schedules depending on if I want this to drip for 30 minutes or 20 minutes or 10 minutes. Even if I want this to drip for a certain number of hours, you can set that to your liking. You can set that to the requirements for your actual plants and how much water they need. So I really do feel like the system is set up to be customizable, which is great. The other thing I like is that This is so like plug and play. Meaning, do y'all remember Legos? Like Legos, you can pretty much build anything. You can attach the Legos to another Lego to create different things. I felt like setting this up reminded me of playing with Legos. You can pretty much get as creative as you want with the setup. So if you want your tubing to snake through a particular way, it's up to you. All you have to do is cut the tubing and place the little connectors and the drippers according to how you see it in your head, and it'll work. The other thing I really appreciate is that the solar panel worked even on a cloudy day. I mean, I don't really know much about solar panels and how they work. I'm pretty much just now learning, but I thought what was going to happen is if the sun wasn't shining like it is now, then you get no water. But no, like even if there's just a few rays peeking through the clouds, this system is going to catch that, use the energy, and put water into your bed. So that for me was like perfect. The last thing I'll say that I loved about this system is simply the fact that it worked, right? Not just on the test run, but all the way through. So like I said before, I went on a 7-day vacation, and the main thing I was looking to see when I came back is, okay, I filled up the water to a specific level. If the water is still at that level when I come back, then I know this thing didn't work. But when I came back, I noticed that the water had dropped a level. So that means that it actually did use the water. And so that means that my soil stayed moist, my plants stayed watered, and that was the biggest concern to me, especially living in Texas. It's so hot, it's so dry. And I know one of y'all was getting on to me in the comments of like, you need to mulch, you need to mulch. Okay, listen, as you can see, I still haven't mulched, okay? I've been busy. So yeah, just knowing that the system had my back, even though I hadn't mulched, that was pretty much everything to me. Okay, so while overall I can recommend this system, there are some things that I didn't like about it. And I would say the first thing is that when I opened up the instruction booklet, the instructions weren't really that clear. Like all you get is a diagram of what the entire setup should look like at the end, and then you get a paragraph of instructions that just generally say what to do, but it doesn't show you individual pictures of how to do it, how to connect things, which tube goes where. And so for example, when I was connecting the tubing to the in and out ports on the controller, I was like, okay, so does the thick tube go on the in part? Does the skinny tube go on the out part? Eventually I figured it out, of course, but I feel like it would have been so much faster and simpler and efficient if they had just told me in the instruction booklet. But I understand today that the new trend is to do less as far as instructions with these things that you might get off of Amazon or even IKEA. So I think that's something to watch out for. But if you watch this video, it should be pretty clear how everything is set up. So yeah, I mean, at least you'll have an easier time than I did. So that's good for you. Me, I struggled a little bit for sure. And then I would say the second thing that I didn't like was that the controller didn't seem to be as durable as I would like. It's plastic, of course, but it felt like more of a cheap build than something that would be really high quality and durable. The reason that I ended up still getting this is because people explained how to treat it through the Amazon reviews. So people were saying, yeah, this thing is not going to be able to take you like dropping it, banging it around, X, Y, and Z. So I just made sure that I didn't do any of those things. And as you can see, it still works. It worked for the 7 days. So all in all, even though the build quality is not that great of the water system controller, I would say that if you're really careful with it, you'll still get good results. But now that we've gone through everything, I just have one last question for y'all. How do you water your garden? Do you hand water? Do you use like an overhead spray irrigation system? Have you installed a drip irrigation system? Do you use solar? Let me know in the comments below. I'm really interested to see what other people are doing. I just wanted to do this because I was tired of watering myself and I don't want to think about it. So I'm like, if I can find something solar powered and automatic, that is literally gonna be the best solution for me. But yeah, I'm just curious to see what y'all say. So drop a comment below, tell me how you water your garden, and until next time, happy gardening.